Hey guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. So in today's video, we are going to discuss about 3D printing for beginners. So without any further ado, let's get started. So first of all, what are we going to do today in this video? So we are going to create a basic 3D project using BlockSCAD website to design a coder keyring. So if you have access to a 3D printer, then you can print your keyring. The keyring doesn't use a lot of filament, so this is an added benefit, and it's small and quick to 3D print. So the finished coder keyring will look something like this. So with the help of an additional split ring, you can insert it using the gaps between the C and the O. The keyring should measure about 14 millimeter by 15 millimeter, but you can vary depending on your interest. So what is BlockSCAD? BlockSCAD is a 3D modeling editor that you can use in a web browser, on a computer, or a tablet. It uses a drag and drop methodology, so you don't need to know programming or you need not have any previous experience in programming to get started in this 3D printing video series using if you're using BlockSCAD. So this is a symbol for BlockSCAD. As we discussed earlier, it follows a drag and drop style programming, and best is that it's free to use. The hardware. We would need a 3D printer and a filament. Solid color always works the best. And of course, as we discussed earlier, a split ring for making the keyring. A 19 millimeter diameter split ring works well. So what you will learn in this video, we will together learn how to create a simple 3D object that can be 3D printed, how to work with the X, Y, Z coordinate axis, how to translate to position a 3D object, and now we are getting to the components of BlockSCAD interface. So this is how the BlockSCAD website will look like when you open an empty project. Now let's discuss about the various parts of this website. The first over here we have the toolbox where you have various options like 3D shapes, 2D shapes, transform or set ops, maths, logic, loops, text, variables, modules, and experimental. And over here we have the render window. So for example, any code or like drag and drop blocks you create over here, when you click render, the computer will generate a image model of what the output will be like. For example, if you give the process to the 3D printer after printing, what will the object look like in real life? That is what the render window will show you. So let's get started. This is the official Raspberry Pi website for the 3D keyring which I am referring to now. I will leave a link to this in the description down below if you want to reference it. Now let's search for BlockSCAD. Let's search for BlockSCAD software. Go to blockscad3d.com/editor. Log in using your account. If you don't have one, you can create it. It's very simple. Go to my projects and you can create a new project by pressing the new project button. So the first thing we need to do is to create a 3D text because of course we are creating a 3D coder ring keychain. So click on 3D shapes. Before that, click on text and select this 3D text, drag and drop. Now change the text to coder and hit render. So the rendering is the process of creating an image from a 3D model so that we can see what it looks like. We have discussed about it in earlier. If you skip to this part, I recommend you going back and referring to my video. So we can move around using drag and pulling using our mouse or any other method you know. You can also zoom in by clicking on the plus icon and zoom out using the minus icon. You can change the color of this border, which is currently pink, using this colored square. You can set it to green if you want to. But in real life, whatever color filament you are inserting in the 3D printer will only get printed. This is just a representation purpose. Now we now have a problem that the letters are all split apart, which means there's a gap between each letter. So when we 3D print it, the C will be a separate piece, O will be a separate piece, and D will be a separate piece. We don't want that. We need it to be a single piece so that we can create a keychain. So for that, I will delete this block over here. Go click on setups and click union, and then go to text and select 3D text. And now insert the letter C, and I'm going to duplicate this using duplicate, right click and duplicate, and plus. So this is going to add these both elements together, and it's O, and I'm going to click on render. So now we see that we have only the O over here and we don't see the C. That is because these both are placed on top of each other. So basically the O is on top of the C. That is why we are not able to see the C. So I'm gonna need to move this O a little bit to the right side. So I'm gonna move this away for now, and I'm gonna click on transform and drag translate. So what this translate does is it enables me to control the X, Y, and Z positions of these elements. So now I'm gonna increase it X units by 10 and click on render. Now we can see that it is there, but 10 is a little bit too much, so I'm gonna click 5, hit render, and now I think it's fine. If you want to increase the thickness, we can increase it by changing the thickness, and the size if you want by changing the size. I'm gonna set both to 20 and set this X to 10 and click render. There you go. We have a nice little CO. I'm gonna repeat this process. Click on duplicate, and to add another section in this union section, click on this plus button and drag it. Now we see that the X is scaled to 10. So all of this is with respect to the origin. So now what happens is the C is positioned at the origin, near the origin, and then the O will be positioned 10 units to the right of X. And O will also be positioned to the 10 units to the right of X. O. So, no, sorry. O will be placed 10 units to the right of X. So which means that our C, O, and D will overlap with each other, which we don't need. So I'm going to change it to 20 and hit enter. So I'm going to repeat this process. Hit on the plus button 2 times. Click duplicate, duplicate, and change the text. And hit on render. And of course, change the scale. I mean the translate. That looks great. So if you don't like this grid, you can turn it off by pressing this button. I personally prefer to use this grid, which gives me more details. So if you want to save this project, you can just click save like that. I am not interested in saving, but I will still save it for your purpose. You can rename it like this. Yeah, 3D keyring like that and hit save. There you go. If you want to check your project dashboard, click on your profile section and click my projects. And there we will have our 3D keyring. To open it, just press on the title. Click on edit this project, hit render, and if you want to export it, we can just click on the button generate STL. So STL stands for standard triangle language, so which basically means that we define this 3D model using a bunch of triangles which are interconnected with each other using various algorithms. But for this video, I'm not gonna get too much into that. So I hope you like this video. We will meet you. I'll see you guys in the next video.